Welcome back to Paigeforge, and today we're going to be going over editing tools. So from the library, you're going to come down to editing tools. The first tab here is name check, which I went over a little bit in the overview install video. But basically, these are all AI names. There is a built-in database of 276. You can add new names, and you can also keep names that you just want to use anyway, even if it is maybe a tell. Over here in filler words, same thing, you can add more filler words. And you can get some really good detailed lists of things to watch out for. Basically, filler would be any of like your weak writing alerts, if you will. So weak verbs, filler words, overused adverbs, what's the other, like descriptions that are overused for people, things like that. So you can get those from AI and you can add them here, or you could actually have as well is you could ask Claude Code to say, hey, there's a filler words thing. Can you add all these filler words for me? And it should be able to do that as well. And you can do that either from your main library, or probably best would be to do it from the extension level like we did in the vibe coding. So that could be a vibe coding add, is to like really increase this database. But if it's not something you're going to be using, it doesn't really make sense to bother with that. All right, and then crutch words. Crutch words goes a step further than filler, so it's going to be going over words that you are using a ton, like more than average and more than other words, and it's going to alert you to those. Now, it also does go against voice reference material. So if you have voice references in your pen names for like a style guide and the stylometry for the pen names, the crutch words will look at that book against your voice reference and see, is this just your style? Is it your style to use like and just and things like that? And if that is the case, then it kind of moves it below, saying like, this isn't something you really need to worry about. This is just your voice, but these are being used a lot, like as an alert. So that is what you can expect from the crutch words. And then these are basically the settings areas for these. So let's go into a book. So we are going to, okay, so this is the notes sidebar right over here. So you can add notes from here, do things, and this will save in your notes file. Here we are. And then if you are typing in here in the main editor, I need to look at boats. Okay. And then we come here and then we come back here. You'll see this hasn't changed, right? We have this over here, but it hasn't changed over here. All you have to do is you have to switch to a different file and then back. And now we have, I need to look at boats. So that's just a quick thing about how the notes currently work. And this is just so that this doesn't overwrite this and this doesn't overwrite that. So if you know you're going to be working in this, I would just suggest switching to any other of the reference files in the note sidebar and then making whatever your changes are. And then if you need to bring that back, then you can bring it back here. So that's just a quick note there. Now I'm going to come back to one of my chapters. And if this does hide for you automatically the first time you go to notes, which is its like default, all you have to do is once you've come to notes is you open this and then it sees this as pinned and then it won't hide on you as you're flopping around. Okay. Next thing is chapter. So here you can change your chapter title from here. You can add a POV, like this is actually Clara. And so this is, so this looks like it's going to double. This Clara for the POV is for the Vellum export, FYI. Okay, and then, so you wouldn't want the imported one is what actually would need to go, but that's fine too, because this was imported. And then status, are we doing outline, drafting, revision, polish, or complete? So you can set your status on each individual chapter. You can also set a timeline, and then the word count is obviously fixed, and so is the ID to avoid any other issues. And more details, it just gives you a little pop-up of that same thing. Analysis goes through signals. So these are your signals, your words, sentences. So this is how many sentences you have. And then average sentence of words. So 15 words per sentence, 34 adverbs, I believe is this chapter. 14 em dashes, which is typical. I would actually say that's a little bit high for me personally. And then it shows your main filler words right here. And then we can actually go to specifically filler this chapter only. And this will show us all of the filler from that editing tools, and we can go highlight. and I can go through and look where are all of those just files, just words lingering. And same thing here. You can just click highlight. You can also do a replace from here. You could also do read whole book, and that would give you an overview of how bad this is in the whole book. So just is used 124 times. That's quite high. Very is used a lot. Really is used a lot. I would actually go through these. And it also even says most in certain chapters. I would go through those and really do a deep dive on those. And I might even have my AI during editing passes watch for those filler words. So that's something that you could definitely also alter with Paigeforge, is you could have like some kind of report to hand off to the AI. So that's something you could easily ask is, expand out the filler words, with a list that you get from ChatGPT or Claude, and then you could have it give you a report, like an editing report, so that the AI could go through and help you edit out some of those fillers. And then crutch, read book. So this is going through the crutch words in this current book. You'll see there is no area where it's saying like this is just your voice, because there is no voice references for this pen name currently. If you did have voice references in the pen names and the stylometry, it might say, hey, like this is a crutch word, but it seems to be part of your voice. So this might not be something that you need to necessarily remove. And again, like it can have the highlight, and then you can go through while you're looking through these and see, okay, this is pretty bad, right? And you could also have highlight all for crutch or filler if you wanted to, so that you could kind of see like just how bad it is like per chapter. That's something that you could vibe code in if that was something that you were after. And basically these were just little additions of kind of like a pro writing aid light, if you will, of some of the areas where you could see weak writing kind of developing. And then names, you can check this chapter or you can check the whole book. So we have a couple. So we have Sinclair. So this is in chapter 9. And if I actually come here to my files, so if I want to do a search and see where Sinclair is being used, I actually should, yeah, anyway. So I can say this is KLS. So I can come here, right click, and find in folder. So this will keep it just to that book. And then I can say Sinclair, and we're just presuming that this is more than once, right? And if you look here, gallery opening at Sinclair Contemporary. So that is not actually a surname, which is what this is actually being marked as critical for, as if this was a surname. It's not, so I'm not going to worry about it. If you hit keep, it will not look for Sinclair any further in any of your books, because it's just going to presume that this is a name you like. So that's a little bit different. Now, Vale, on the other hand, let's look at Vale. So right here, we can see Kiernan Vale is actually a surname, and it says Valley surname, chapter 2, 3, 5, and 9. So this is one that I would go ahead and replace, because this is actually throughout the book, you can see that this is a full character's name is Vale. So that's one that I would go ahead and do a replacement on. And then I would do a very careful editing pass in case Vale was used in some sort of more logical manner. It does do like a check for like name. So like it is checking for the capitalization, but I would still probably keep an eye on that when doing replacements to make sure. And actually, this is something too, let's just say fourth. I don't know why. And so if you can see here, if we actually opened up, and actually I'm going to open up this in Markdown over here. And then I'm going to hide this sidebar now. And if I come here, oh, no, it's not going to do it that way because it's already going to be a split plane. But if you go here, you could actually see each version of this is where it would be changed out. So Kiernan Mr. Fourth instead of Vale, so you could just double check that this is not going to be replacing a real use case of that as like a word, if that makes sense, if there's a issue. And then this doesn't actually apply it. It doesn't apply until you hit replace all, and I'm just going to delete. And then you can come back to File Explorer and you can double click to close out. And then I can close out the replace preview and come back to Paigeforge. And then if we come back over here, this is, again, check chapter, whole book, and you can also check Bible endnotes. So you can do that as well. There isn't a Bible and notes for this particular book, so that is why nothing was flagged. So that is the editing tools, and I will see you in the next one.